Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakah Kadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And shalom to the hopeful elect. This Paya Allah from the GMS London camp coming back at you again with his truth. This is gonna be a quick sip, and I'm gonna read over this one precept and just break it down. So this is Matthew 24 verse 37 to 39. Okay, and it reads, "But as in the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." All right. So now, if you're acquainted with the story of Noah, it's a story where the Lord put the Spirit on him to prophesy that the earth would flood basically by way of rain. But in those days, there was no such thing as rain. It tells you that a dew came up from the earth. Okay. So he went out and prophesied to the people that were wicked at that time, to make it known what was going to happen, and no one took heed. And he was preparing the ark before their eyes. Okay. But then guess what? When the flood came, the angels basically shut the ark behind him and his house, and then they were taken out of that situation of the flood, and then all the wicked men perished. So this is what it's saying about the days of Noah. That story is comparable to the day of Yahweh Shai. Okay. So I'll read it again. It says Matthew 24 and 37 to 39. Well, I'm going to read verse 37. "But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the Son of Man be." Okay. Now Noah built an ark. Now the Lord has an ark as well. That where the ark being today, what the so-called white man calls the UFOs, which are identified inside of the Bible known as the chariots of the Most High, also described as clouds, as it tells you in Psalms, the 103rd chapter and 4th verse. Okay, basically the Most High maketh the clouds his chariots. So the Lord is gonna come in those days of this flood being done with fire. Okay, because water and fire, both cleansing agents. You had the time past, the first death being the washing of the world by way of water. But then guess what? You're going to have the second death, which is going to be the cleansing of the earth by way of fire. Okay? And that's going to be done in America, which is known as the lake of fire. And different places are going to get the brunt of World War III. You know, it tells you in Isaiah the 9th chapter 5th verse that this war shall be done with fire, fuel of fire. Okay? So the Lord, when he comes back, he's coming back with an in the midst of the ICBMs falling upon America. He's gonna be shooting them laser beams and judging people by his laser beams. Okay, he said he won't meet thee as a man. Okay, so and it reads on now. "For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking." Okay, so they were having a good time. Now, when you go back to the book of Genesis, the 6th chapter, it outlines that the way of basically men were walking in the way of flesh. Okay, and they were doing great violence. It told you that it was greatly violent in that period. Okay, just bear with me one sec. Yeah, it says the earth was filled with violence. Okay, so and this day and age we're living in what the Esau's rulership. Okay, the so-called white man who in the Bible is defined as Esau, we're living in his rulership presently, and he's known as the violent. How do we know that? When you go to Matthew the 11th chapter, it tells you the kingdom was set, well, going back to the Romans when Yahushua was on the scene. It said the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. And who were they suffering under the hands of? They were suffering under the hand of the Roman Empire, which basically came out of Edom. Okay, so this is the same thing. This is a regeneration of the Roman Empire today. Okay, they're ruling today. They go under the same, everything regenerated, reincarnated in this kingdom goes back to Esau back then, of the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, even Edom. All these different times when Esau was in rulership. Okay, and he's even channeling different wicked energies that were in kingdoms from before, the times past. So that's showing you that basically what the time we're living in is a violent time, man, and we're suffering at the hands of that violence. Okay, and that's the same thing that was said in Genesis the 6th chapter. All right, and remember, we gotta remember that Noah was what, a righteous man that the Lord set apart and his household and took into the ark and delivered him from this time. All right, so it says, for as the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark. Okay, so it's saying that was being done until what? Noah entered into the ark. And that's the same thing over here. Everyone's eating, drinking, and marrying, having a hell of a good time. But it tells you in Ecclesiastes it's better to go into the house of mourning than to the house of feasting. Okay? Which we're basically in the house of mourning. We're mourning in this kingdom. We ain't feasting and enjoying ourselves. Even if you attempt to, you're going to have a stark reminder that you're in hell. Alright? Because remember, it says that what they were doing before, they were doing anything in their imagination. And it tells you in the book of Jeremiah 17:9 that it tells you about the heart is desperately wicked, man. So that's that do as thy will spirit, and that's present today, man. That's what they're doing. But that's the flesh, that's wickedness, right? Because remember, even Paul said, who was in the spirit, had a hell of a spirit on him. He said, why I ought to do, I do not. What I want not to do, loosely paraphrasing, I do. Because he was saying he was in the greatest battle. His spirit was fighting against the flesh, because he's in the flesh, and while he's present in the flesh, he knows that he's away from the Heavenly Father, man. So these people don't even have the slightest level of discipline to acknowledge that there's a spirit. They're full-fledged in the flesh. That's why any imagination it comes to mind to do, they go ahead and do it, man. All right. And it says, knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. So all these things, we're preparing an ark before the people presently today. How are we doing it? We're going out there and being fools for Yahweh sake, man. All right, we're going on the highways and byways, and people. But everything we're doing is in accordance to prophecy. We got the sign in front of us. We got the border blue, the fringes. But guess what? The way of under the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, they've been blinded to it. So they'll look at us like we're fools, but we're actually fulfilling prophecy. We're doing a righteous act. All right. So now you got to remember that we're building the kingdom before them. In the midst of this kingdom, the little sanctuary, as it spoke of in Ezekiel the 11th and 16th verse, man. We're building that before their eyes, okay? But they're laughing at it, they're scoffing. But then guess what? When it goes down, that's when they're going to be looking for us. They're going to be looking for you, brothers, trying to find you, dipping and diving any way to find those men, those crazy guys holding the cardboard signs and wearing dresses, all right? Because when these things come into effect, that's when it's going to be made manifest before their eyes, right? Because we're spiritual men. We have faith. The Lord blesses us with that gift of faith, all right? But guess what? They haven't been blessed with that gift. They believe they have a tangent, they go in accordance with the flesh. If I can't touch it, I don't believe it. So that's why it's going to be to that error at the end of the day, okay? So, with that, man, pray you're edified. Shalom.